There's a type of person who reads people too well. They walked into a room yesterday and knew something was off before anyone opened their mouth. They know who's going to fight before anyone speaks. They know which couple is done and which coworker got bad news this morning. Most people would call this a superpower, sharp intuition, emotional intelligence. But that framing is wrong. What looks like an intuition is actually a processing error. It's a switch in your brain that was supposed to turn off after your childhood ended. But it didn't. It's running right now while you're watching this video, scanning every tone inflection and every face that comes up on the screen. We're going to break down how this switch actually makes you fall into 3 traps and one move that gets you out of all the traps while you read almost anybody. So it all starts in the human brain, which runs on 2 channels, words and everything else. Most people listen to the words and use everything else as a background noise. But a small group does it backwards. The words become background noise and the face becomes the signal. So what is actually happening in the second group's head? See, I won't call it extra intelligence. It's just that they're babies. And no, not babies in the bad sense. I mean in the good sense. See, because babies are born tracking faces because they can't yet pass language. By age 4, most kids have flipped the priority. Speech wins, face becomes the secondary. For these people, that flip never fully happens. The face stays primary forever. Paul Ekman called the data they are catching micro-expressions. And I know you know the term micro-expressions. In fact, I also know that most of you might have experienced it too. But wait till you realize what it does in a room full of normal people. The Cassandra Problem. There's a Greek myth about a woman named Cassandra. Apollo gave her the gift of seeing the future, then cursed her so no one would ever believe her. She screamed about the war, the fall of Troy, every disaster in advance. But people called her unstable. Cassandra represents the people we are talking about who are running a small version of this every week. What happens when you can see the lie but not prove it? A cousin brings a new boyfriend to Thanksgiving. He's polite. He shakes the right hands. He laughs at the right beats. The way he answers questions half a second too fast, they make him look very charming and very respectful. So you pull the cousin aside in the kitchen. Be careful with this one. But the cousin hears, I'm judging him before I know him. 3 months later, the cousin calls crying saying, why did I get into this? Why didn't God save me earlier? And you're just there sitting and nodding. A co-worker plays the victim of a bad boss to attract sympathy. Everyone comforts him. But you know that the co-worker missed 3 deadlines that month. You say one calm sentence and the mood snaps. Suddenly you're the cold one, the judgmental one, the one without empathy. When someone's hidden self gets accidentally exposed, the ego doesn't accept the data. It attacks the messenger. Your clarity makes other people feel naked. And the survival instinct of a naked person is to first destroy whoever is holding the mirror. So you go quiet, you smile, you nod, you start hiding the very thing that made you sharp. But the silence inside of you creates a new problem. Because see, the switch is still on. So all the data inside of you starts landing on the wrong people. The ones who are actually trustworthy. The suspicion loop. When you stop trusting what people say out loud, you start trusting your own analysis instead, even if it is with people who are close to you. But think about this. What does this do to a relationship when one person reads everything as data? A text comes back 30 minutes later than usual. A normal brain reads, she's busy. This brain runs a tribunal. Tone shift, word choice, length, punctuation. By the time she replies, they've written and discarded 4 interpretations of what the delay meant. A partner gives them a gift for no reason. Normal brain, sweet. This brain, what is he covering? A compliment lands. Normal brain, thanks. This brain, what do they want from me? This has a clinical name too. Confirmation bias stacked on hypervigilance. Once they suspect a hidden motive, the brain stops looking for evidence against it. It only looks for confirmation. And the face always provides confirmation. Because faces always leak something. You can always find what you came looking for. Now let's be honest, the function of all this is your own protection. If you predict every betrayal, you think you won't feel it when it lands. The vigilance is your armor. And yes, I know the armor works, but it also weighs about 90 pounds when you wear it to bed. And somewhere along the way, you would notice that the cost of suspicion is bigger than the betrayals can ever be. Because you might be winning every mental game with strangers, but you're losing the only people you were supposed to keep close. The silent witness. There's a specific kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being alone. It comes from seeing something you can never prove. You notice the smile that arrives a half a second too late, or the apology that sounds rehearsed. But you know that knowing isn't the evidence, so you say nothing. 3 months later, everyone else catches up. They call it shocking. You call it a Tuesday. See, that's the exhausting part. Not seeing it, but carrying it. Eventually, you stop asking, what does everyone else think? And start asking, am I imagining this? The truth is, you are not. You became incredibly good at reading everyone else. You notice what they need before they ask. You become the friend everyone calls. But see, that is it. Everyone comes to you because you notice. Nobody notices you. You heal the room, then you walk back home unheld. If any of the last 4 minutes felt specific, here are the bonus points that'll help you out. The last one is the best. Observe yourself harder. You spot the coworker sucking up? Well, that's data. The next question is whether is it your problem to handle. Most of the time it is not. See, society is built on polite lies and everyone silently agreed to honor them. And then you walk into the room carrying a flashlight. The room doesn't need your flashlight. You're not the appointed lord of truth. Log the read, use it to protect yourself. Masking. You've been treating every mask like a deception. Look again. The loud guy bragging at the table was once a kid who was never picked. The friend who acts cold all of a sudden was burnt once and decided never again. See, the mask isn't the betrayal, and you can see the wound underneath and still let them keep the bandage on. That's not being naive. That's having mercy with your eyes closed. Drop the verdict. Your intuition says that there's a 20% chance this relationship ends ugly. Fine, store it and let yourself live in the 80%. You can see every thorn on the rose and still smell the flower. The switch doesn't have to be off, but the verdict can be. If this video hits, watch the next one. It hits even better. Sub if you noticed my tone inflection. Block me if it felt AI.